Okay, the first card we're going to talk about is Silk Guard. X and a green for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures you control. Auras, equipment, and modified creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. One of my favorite cards from the new precon, reason being, is first off, put X +1/+1 counters on, or sorry, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures you control. That's perfect, especially in a modified deck where you want to have creatures with auras, equipments, or counters on them. And then also, all your auras, all your equipment, and modified creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Now, this doesn't stop board wipes from happening, but it does stop if somebody's trying to target your stuff specifically as individual cards. It stops that from being able to happen. I love this card. Great card. I love the cost for it. The art on it is actually pretty interesting. Great card. Love it. Definitely going in. The next card we're going to talk about is Concord with the Kami. 3 and a green for an enchantment. Again, love the artwork on this card. I love the little mushroom shaman that's talking to what looks like the emperor or some kind of really awesome uh, kami guide. But what it does is at the beginning of your end step, choose one or more. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with a counter on it. Draw a card if you control an enchanted creature, or create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token if you control an equipped creature. The reason why I love this card so much is it does so much for you, and you can do multiple of these on each of your end steps. So if you don't have a creature that has a +1/+1 counter on it yet, go ahead and do that. Or you can put one on it that does have a counter on it. If you want to, you can draw a card. You can draw a card if you control an enchanted creature. So if you have a creature with an aura on it, or I'm not sure if it works this way, but possibly even an enchantment creature, unless it's a creature you control, an enchanted creature. So it has to be a creature with an aura on it, and you get to draw a card. And then also, if you control a creature that has an equipment on it, you get to create a 1/1 spirit, colorless spirit creature token. That spirit does not have flying. Your typical spirits usually come with flying, but it's okay. So another 1/1 chunk blocker or chump blocker that you can use to go ahead and help defend on your next turn. Great card, love it. 4 mana, solid card overall. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is going to be Kami of Celebration. 4 and a red for a creature spirit, 3/3. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Now, I'm not really a big fan of this card. It didn't make the cut in my personal upgrades to my upgrade precon deck, which I'm going to be upgrading and making into my own image, and I'll go ahead and give a deck tech of that at a later point. The reason why this one didn't make the cut, though, however, is 5 mana for a 3/3. No thanks. Especially the fact that it doesn't have flying or menace. If it had some kind of keyword on it, it might be a little bit more impressive, in my opinion. And also, I'm not really a big fan of, whenever a modified creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library, and then you may play that card this turn. The reason why I'm not a big fan of that is I plan on having multiple modified creatures. And if I have 4, and I swing with 4, that's going to be 4 of them that are going to be, or 4 cards getting exiled from the top of my library. A couple of them may be like big things that I really want to keep. And then if I don't have the mana to pay for it, they're gone because I can only cast them that turn. And then that bottom part, whenever you cast a card from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That's cool, but it's not worth it to me if I have to lose that card, or cards in some cases. That's why I didn't make the cut. I do think it's a good card, though. If you would like to use it in a deck that would utilize it better, by all means, go ahead. Just didn't make the cut for me on this one. All right, the next card I'm going to go ahead and talk about here is going to be Tanuki Transplanter. I believe that word right. Yeah, Tanuki Transplanter. 3 and a green. I'm a really huge fan of these new kind of cards here. Artifact creature, equipment, dog. 3 and a green for a creature, 2/4. Nice body on it. Whenever Tanuki Transplanter or equipped creature attacks, add an amount of green equal to its power. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. and it's got Reconfigure 3. For those of you that don't know, Reconfigure, I believe, is a new mechanic that came out. So pretty much you tap the 3, you can attach this card to a target creature like an equipment card, or you can tap 3 and unequip it and make it into its own creature. The reason why I'm a huge fan of this card is, again, when this creature attacks, or if it's an equipped to creature, based off of whatever those creatures' powers are, you're going to get green mana, which you can then use in your second main phase, or until the end of your turn, as steps and phases end, to cast whatever else you have left in your hand. If you got a nice little follow-up to your main phase 2, or if you somehow find your way of getting extra combats, you can definitely have that green mana for that main phase 2 to now cast something else and equip something, or put another aura on something else for your second combat phase. This card is just amazing. Best part about this is with Chishetto, or Kisetto, sorry, or not Kisetto, Chishiro, sorry. With Chishiro, the new commander from the precon, you cast this card for 4. Chishiro sees it as an equipment, so you're going to get that 2/2 Menace Spirit, and now you also got another creature, which you can pay the 3 to equip it to that Menace Spirit, and now you're going to be able to get 3 green mana on your next attack. That's the best part about this too, is it's on attack, so whatever that creature attacks doesn't even have to deal combat damage. It's just declare it as an attacker, you're getting green mana. Awesome card. I love it. It definitely 100% made the cut. Alright, the next one is Kamenew Battle Armor for 2 and a red. Artifact Creature Equipment Dog for a 2/2. The reason why I love this card definitely made the cut for the deck I'm going to be upgrading. Is the reason why is it Menace, right? That Menace is just awesome. I love Menace. It's a great keyword ability to me, one of my favorites. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Menace. So if you happen to pay the 4 to reconfigure this and equip a creature, that creature is not only going to get boosted by 2, but it's also going to get Menace, which is amazing. Especially if you got a big beat stick trampler, or just not even a trampler, just a big beat stick creature. They're going to be losing quite a few creatures that, to block it. And then on top of that, whenever Kamenew Battle Armor or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. The reason why I love this effect so much is the plan I have for my upgraded version of this deck is to have extra combat phases. That being said, if I'm able to deal combat with either this card or the equipped creature to each of my opponents, I'm pretty much scot-free from any kind of combat damage coming in my direction. The reason being is now all the creatures are goaded, so all their creatures have to attack, and they can't come in my direction. I don't know what's better than that in Magic, other than the fact that, you know, maybe redeflecting something, or getting that crucial counter whenever nobody sees it coming. But watching your opponents just kill each other because especially after you just hit them and possibly for a lot of damage, nothing better in Magic in my opinion. Definitely made the cut. Looking forward to it. Okay, the next one up is going to be Unquenchable Fury. 2 in a red for an Enchantment Aura. Another great red aura, in my opinion. This one, again, made the cut. Enchant Creature. Enchanted Creature has, whenever this creature attacks, it deals X damage to defending player, where X is the number of cards in their hand. When Unquenchable Fury is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. Again, the reason why I love this card, especially with Chishiro, is, okay, the creature dies or somehow this card gets deleted or removed off of my creature. Cool, not the end of the world. The only way that sucks, really, is if you exile it. But if you destroy it and you make it go to the graveyard, it's going to go back to my hand, so I'm going to get it back regardless. And then I can recast it, and as we all know, Chishiro, when you cast an aura or an equipment, you get to create a 2/2 Menace Spirit token. So that, yes, please, it's kind of just refilling the magazine here. The part I love about this card the most, though, is Enchanted Creature has, whenever this creature attacks, it deals X damage to the defending player, where X is the number of cards in their hand. Hey, draw players that like to draw a lot of cards, all I have to do is declare an attack in your direction, and you're taking a butt ton of damage. The cool part about this is, like, even if they only have like 3 cards in hand, before combat damage is even resolved, they're taking 3 damage. I mean, I'm not going to skimp out on any kind of damage I can deal to anybody. It's amazing. And it's also, I can attack your Planeswalker, and you're going to take damage. I can attack you, and you're going to take extra damage. It's amazing card. Again, another card made the cut. Okay, one with the Kami. 3 and a green for Enchantment Aura. Another one of my favorite auras from this new precon. It has flash. Underappreciated, undervalued ability in my opinion. You don't see it on a lot of cards, but the ones you do see it on, it just makes them that much more better. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature or another modified creature you control dies, create X 1/1 color spirit creature tokens where X is that creature's power. If you ask my personal opinion on this thing, I think this thing is busted beyond belief. The fact that you can flash it in is crucial because this essentially becomes a board wipe saving grace. If I got 4 modified creatures on my field, and let's just say they're all 4/4s, all right? So I got 4 modified creatures, they're all 4/4s. I flash this in on something before your board wipe resolves. Now all my stuff dies. Everything else on the board dies. However, now because I got 4 creatures with 4/4, I'm going to get 16 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens. Where again, where X is that creature's power. So 4/4s. I'm going to get 16 1/1 spirits. My board has been replenished. Yeah, it sucks. My modified creatures are all gone, but I'm not really worried because now I got creatures and everybody else doesn't. It's probably going to take them some time to rebuild a wall, and my 6/6 or my 16 spirits now are just flying at you. And I can also possibly recast my commander, give somebody some upgrades, and we just we get the ball rolling again. I love this card. 1 with the Kami, 3 and a green, Enchantment Aura. Definitely 100% made the cut. Alright, this next card I'm not too fond of in this deck. However, I do have a deck idea that this thing would fit into perfectly. What this thing does is it's Smoke Spirit's Aid, X and a red, for a sorcery. For each of up to X target creatures, create a red aura enchantment token named Smoke Blessing attached to that creature. Those tokens have enchant creature, and when enchanted creature dies, it deals 1 damage to its controller, and you create a treasure token. The reason why I love this card, it's definitely it did not make the cut for my upgraded version of this deck. However, it did make the cut for another deck I have, or an idea I have, which is one of the new cards released, which was Hinata for the red, white, and blue. I believe it's an avatar. I'll probably put a picture of it up. But the reason why I like it so much is it's a great card. Hinata, which isn't obviously in this deck because it's not the color format, reduces by 1 for each target for a card. With this being an X and a red, I can really target every creature on the board for just a red and give it this thing. These attachment auras, which when those creatures die, you're going to take, or the owner of that card takes 1 damage, and then you carry a treasure token. Great card. I think it's a fun card. It just didn't make the cut for the idea I have. Okay, another card that didn't make the cut. It's a great card. I think it's a fun card to use and build around or have fun with. Is going to be Ascendant Acolyte. 4 and a green for a creature human monk, 1/1. Ascendant Acolyte enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each +1/+1 counter among other creatures you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of +1/+1 counters on Ascendant Acolyte. The reason why I like this card is 1, it's not legendary, so you can make copies of it. Which, in my opinion, if you're able to make copies of it, it becomes brutal. Especially if you got at least 2, maybe 3. It's nuts. It's also a human, so it goes in the human decks. My buddy's got a white-green human deck. I believe it goes off of kind of off the ability of man, what is it called? The one that just came out with the Midnight Hunt. I forget what it is, but it's a great card. This thing gets really big. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Mana Gorge or Hydra. Obviously not exactly like that, but the fact that it just gets bigger and bigger at the beginning of each upkeep. You're going to double the number of +1/+1 counters. This thing can get big and out of hand. If it came with Trample, just like Mana Gorge or Hydra, I think it would be a way better card, but not a card to sleep on. 5 mana to me is a bit too much for what it does. I would be okay paying that 5 if it had something like Trample on it. The fact that it doesn't, though, didn't make the cut. Good card, just not for this deck. Alright guys, getting close to the end here. This card is 100% going in. I think if you have any kind of deck that runs ramp or wants to get lands out there, a landfall deck, this is something that I believe you have to put into your deck. It's almost gonna, I think it's going to become almost an instant staple in some decks. But it's Rampant Rejuvenator, 3 and a green for a creature, plant, Hydra, 0/0. Rampant Rejuvenator enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. When Rampant Rejuvenator dies, search your library for up to X big land cards, where X is Rampant Rejuvenator's power. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. The reason why I love this card so much is yes, you're paying 4 mana to get a 2/2 creature out. It doesn't really sound amazing. However, in the deck, in Chishiro's deck, it comes with the counters. On your end step, it's going to get another counter. The bigger this thing gets, the quicker this thing gets bigger. It's going to become a problem for your opponents to take care of, but when they do finally board wipe it or spot remove it, again, if they don't exile it, again, exiling stops this whole thing from happening. But once they figure out how to remove it, you're going to get a bunch of basic lands, pretty much. Probably, if you get it big enough, maybe all your basic lands from your library out onto the field. So if you have those landfall triggers, all those landfall triggers are going to hit and activate. If you have a way of have like a sack outlet where you can sacrifice this guy when he's, maybe it's a 5/5, but you have something out like a Morag or sorry, Coom Refuge, Morag of Coom Refuge, the one that has it's a red card that has landfall. So when you on your main phase, when you hit landfall, you get extra combat phase for it. This thing is just amazing. I love this card. Definitely going in 100%. Made the cut. All right, and the last one we're going to be talking about for the Gruul upgrades unleashed new cards is going to be Collision of Realms, 6 and a red for a sorcery. 7 mana, pretty big cost, but it does something pretty interesting. Each player shuffles all creatures they own into the library. Each player who shuffle a non-token creature into their library this way reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Then puts that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. So essentially, for 7 mana, this becomes a Chaos Warp board wipe for everybody. The cool thing about this is if your opponent is playing a token-heavy generator deck, if you can get rid of the actual creature that's a non-token, and you make sure that they have nothing but token creatures on their board before you play this, they lose everything and get nothing. Because the way this is worded is each player who shuffled a non-token creature into their library this way reveals cards from their top of their library until they reveal a creature card. So if they shuffled nothing but token creatures back, they get nothing in return. So again, if you can have somebody maybe help you out, Beast Within their I don't know, I'm just gonna Consecrated Sphinx, and all they have is a bunch of blue, red locusts from Locust God or whatever. If that's all they have, and they have like 100 of them, and that's the only creatures they have on the board, when you play this card, all those get shuffled away, and because all he had was token creatures, he gets nothing back, or they get nothing back. I love this card. However, it didn't make the cut for the deck idea I have. Just because the deck idea I have is super aggressive. I'm just trying to go quick, move fast, attack fast, and hopefully just knock everybody out as quick as possible with my deck idea. This is a card that I'm going to hold on to for sure, though. It is a great red card. I do plan on possibly putting this into the deck or a deck somewhere down in the line. But great card. It didn't make the cut, but amazing nonetheless. I love it.